And welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. Dr. Lopkin, a little bit of a slower week than usual, but any thoughts?
Yeah, it has been a very slow week, and I guess that's to be, expected when the government is in a partial shutdown.
Well, before you go into your thoughts, because I want to hear them, and everyone else does as well, your thoughts on the partial government shutdown. Am I right in my theory that the longer it goes on, the less people care or have an outrage about it?
I don't know. There's been a lot of, I would say, manufactured outrage for it.
Okay, I agree with that, but real outrage, that can't go on forever. In other words, except if you're employed by the government, if your life is going on pretty much as usual, kind of a nothing burger, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if it doesn't touch you, yes. But as it goes on later, more and more people are going to be touched. Already it's starting to affect business. Companies can't file for IPOs. They can't file for new business formations. All the paperwork that that's involved with the government, all of that's at a standstill.
Okay, so let's see. This has been going on for how many days now?
I believe 26. We're in uncharted territory. We've never had a shutdown go this long.
Okay, there's been some polls out that says that there's been a 10-point swing, still a minority, from like 36 to 46, don't quote me on this, for people wanting the wall from a year ago, and it's something like 90% of Republicans. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's not surprising. I think both sides are really hunkering down. The Republicans are coming in lockstep behind the president. The Democrats are swinging the other way. Everybody is just supporting their guy. I have to hand it to the Democrats. They have done a brilliant job of media manipulation.
Well, they have the media, though. I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but they do have the media.
Because there have been dozens of news stories interviewing government employees who, they don't know how they're going to make it, and it's been such a hardship. And of course, every one of these stories leaves out the fact that they only missed one paycheck.
Okay, so going forward, who do you think wins and what do you think happens? Tough question, but you're up for the job.
It is tough. Honestly, I don't know. Trump backed away this week from using the emergency powers. And I think that was a mistake. I think that needs to stay on the table. It's not a great way to go, but it may be the only way he has, because I don't think the Democrats are giving in anytime soon. However, I think they're going to have a lot more pressure on them because all of the government employees, with the exception of the Coast Guard, are all unionized. And
I think that's a really good point, and mostly Democratic. The other thing, I don't know how scientific it was. It was from a kind of a right-leaning website that said that there's some friction or some pulling out between some Democrats against, basically wanting to compromise, going against Pelosi.
Well, I think you're seeing some big fractures in the Democratic Party, not just with this, but with the new members of Congress.
That's what I mean, yes.
So I don't know, who's falling where at this point, but I know the new Democrats have really been pushing against Trump, and Pelosi, of all people, smacked a number of them down, basically telling them, if you keep that up, you're going to kill our agenda and we're not going to get anything done. So there's a fissure in Congress itself over whether or not they need to be going after Trump, or if they really need to show their constituents that they can do something.
I think it's a latter for their own interest. If they keep on with the freak show that blew up with the Kavanaugh hearing, it's not going to go well. Fast forwarding, when do you think it ends and who do you think wins?
I honestly don't know. I don't know how long it's going to go on. I don't think it's ending anytime soon. Pelosi actually requested that they cancel or postpone the State of the Union address because the Secret Service is supposed to provide security and they've been furloughed. So, and Trump canceled his trip to Davos. Pretty much for the same reasons. So neither side is looking like they intend this to end anytime soon.
And I think that the side that has the most to lose is Trump.
Trump definitely has the most to lose. And
yes, if he backs down, he might be finished. And if he doesn't, it's his problem.
Absolutely. I think the only way he comes out of this a winner is if he gets the wall.
Yes, and they'll be hell-bent to prevent that from happening because he will be an unbelievably strong candidate if that happens. And speaking of that, the 2020 Dems are lining up, and I have to say, so far it's a scary bunch.
It is a scary bunch. There's nobody really that you would consider a front runner. It became very obvious when and I'm blanking on her name, the senator from New York who just threw her hat into the ring yesterday.
Gillibrand, yeah.
Yes. She released a video today, her campaign video today. And from the video, it's very obvious the only thing she's doing is running against Trump. She doesn't have a platform of her own. And unfortunately, that seems to be the case with most of the Democrats. Interestingly, Joe Biden was talking to some of the Democrats, and he was quoted as saying, he doesn't necessarily want to run, but he doesn't see anybody else that the Democrats put up beating Trump.
I think he's actually right. I think one thing about him, he's like a reunion concert, okay, of some 70s band. You go there, you bring your wife, you bring your friends, you think it's going to be really amazing, and then they start, God, they're 70 years old. It ain't that cool anymore. I think that he's never been effective for going on 35 years running for president. The most he's ever gotten is like 2%. He's a gas machine. Yes, against the others, he looks stellar. In the real campaign, I don't see it happening. What do you think?
I don't think he can beat Trump. I think he has been a background politician, even as vice president. He is a second tier.
Yes, he was probably, without him, I think Obama would have been even more of a disaster because he knew how to operate a government. And I think Obama relied on him as he took the center stage. But I think you are 1,000% correct. He's not, as they say, ready for prime time.
No, it was actually very funny. I saw a clip they ran of Will Ferrell when he was doing George W. Bush on Saturday Night Live. And this was right after Obama had taken over. And he is talking as George W., going, this is the problem. I needed a vice president like Joe Biden. I needed somebody to do all the stupid things so it would make me look good.
Exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, Dr. Lopkin, and we'll be back with another edition of Carnivore Bites.
See you then.
You've been listening to Carnivore Radio's podcast. You can catch us here every week. Carnivore Radio is part of the Xvadio podcast network. You can listen to the podcast at blogtalkradio.com/Xvadio. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can listen to us live every Friday at 4 o'clock on WESU 88.1 Middletown, Connecticut. You can also catch us online at WESUFM.org. We look forward to hearing from you and see you next week.